Good afternoon, everyone. It is Friday, May the 8th, 2020. It is currently 3:35 p.m. Central Time, and I was about to start packing up. I was about to pack up the laptop, put the microphone back somewhere here in the church, back in a closet somewhere, gather all my books, put everything in the bags, put everything in the car, and start my drive back to Abilene, Texas. I was ready to do that. I hadn't really accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish today here, but I was like, you know what? I've been here now a couple of hours. I got one thing recorded that was okay. The other thing, it was more just an announcement, kind of like one of those housekeeping things you have to do. Hey, everyone, here's all of our different podcasts. Hey, guys, we're going to be focusing on this book. Hey, guys, if you want to win a book, here, do this, and you can win a copy of this book. Just not really anything of significance. There's other things I definitely needed to do, but I was like, I've been here. I did what I could, call it a day, go home, and just enjoy a Friday evening. But right when I got ready to do that, I got a notification on my iPad as I was just getting ready to start packing up. And when I saw the headline, I was like, okay, I now know what I have to do. I have to go back to my microphone. I have to hit that big red go live button because we need to talk about this. I was surprised by it, but then not surprised. And this will all make sense in a minute. All right. Now, let me start by going to a very important book in the Bible. All right. I'm going to go to a very important book in the Bible that everyone should read. Even if you're listening to me and you're not a Christian, you don't care about Christianity, you think it's all a joke, at least consider this book, the book of Ecclesiastes, all right? And the book of Ecclesiastes, we have, in fact, if you'll note carefully, in the book of Ecclesiastes, this is what we have. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 1. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem, all right? Now, the son of David, we believe it's Solomon, all right? And that Solomon ultimately became a king, right? He was a king. And you have Solomon, his father David, obviously very famous in the Bible, obviously very famous. And sometimes I have to speak sometimes when I'm speaking, I may speak more directly towards Christians, but I think this subject is for everyone, Christian and non-Christian alike. So I'm speaking this about the book of Ecclesiastes as if someone doesn't know anything about the Bible. Solomon is the son of David. David is a very famous character in the Bible. You've probably heard of David and Goliath. You probably know about him. Well, he ultimately has a son called Solomon, and Solomon becomes king. And somewhere in Solomon's life, and his life is interesting if you study it, he obviously begins to struggle with a very important question. What's the meaning of life? What's my purpose? What is life really about? And at some point in his life, he felt this way about life. All right? So Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 1, the words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Here's what he said. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Let me translate that in a way that you can possibly relate to. Are you ready? All right. Meaningless, 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 all is meaningless. Everything is meaningless. Life is meaningless. There is no meaning. There doesn't appear to be any purpose. And then if you read the next line, he says this, verse 3, what profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. The sun also ariseth, and the sun goeth down, and hasteth to his place where he arose. The wind goes this way. Basically, he goes through all of these descriptions, and over he keeps saying, meaningless, meaningless, meaningless. What's the point of living? What's the point of working? What's the point of doing? Everything just continues on, one after another. You live, you die, the world just continues on. What's the purpose? What does it all mean? It's all meaningless. And so Solomon sets out to try to find meaning. He sets out to try to find purpose. And if you go through the book, he tries everything. He tries education. He tries women. He tries song. He tries, laughter, eat, drink, and be merry. He tries every concept you can come up with, and you can read through this, through the book of Ecclesiastes. Basically, the book of Ecclesiastes is a journal of this king trying to find out what the purpose of life is. And he keeps coming to this conclusion, meaningless, meaningless. Now, there is a key phrase to interpret the book, and that is under the sun. When he looks at life simply from the perspective of under the sun, he's not looking to anything outside of what he can see, touch, and feel. He's only looking at life from a very materialistic point of view. No, he's not even considering the reality of God. He's just looking at life from under the sun. The conclusion he comes to, if I just live a life just looking under the sun, just looking at what I can see, touch, feel, and there's nothing more, then it's meaningless, 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 meaningless. And anytime he thinks he can convince himself there is meaning, he ultimately comes to the conclusion that this is all vanity as well. This is a waste of time. This is a waste of time. And a lot of people can relate to that, because a lot of people are like, what is my purpose? What is my meaning? But you would expect Christians to not even struggle with this, because from a Christian perspective, we believe the Bible is extremely clear. We were created by God. We were created for God. And because God is creator, our purpose is determined by the creator. If we're going to have a purpose, it has to be found in the one who created us. We don't believe that we're just a cosmic accident because of time and chance and all the things happened at the right time, and this blew up and this chemical bounced into this chemical, and next thing you know, this evolved, and boom, here we are. No, we believe God created. And because we believe God created, then we believe our purpose, our meaning in life is found in the Creator. That's why the doctrine of creation is so important to Christians, because without God being creator, then we're left with a materialistic world where there is nothing but under the sun. But if there is a God who created us, then we look in a sense above the sun, and we look to the Creator, and there is our purpose. There is our meaning. There is the one who determines morality. And you would think that would be common within the Christian world. You'd think that's how Christians would think. I'm created by God. I'm created for God. Or I can read it to you in the words of a famous catechism. You've probably heard these words. Anyone in my church has heard these words. What is the chief end of man? What is the chief end of man? What is our purpose? Man's chief and highest end is to glorify God and to enjoy Him forever. What is the chief end of man? To glorify God and enjoy Him forever. Glorify God, glorify God, glorify God. We were created by Him. We were created for Him. My purpose in life is God. If I want meaning, I find it in God. Who is better to give the purpose and meaning of something than the one who created everything? That's the basic Christian mentality, or I thought, till I got this notification on my iPad. All right, are you ready? This was published Friday, May the 8th, 2020. Oh, guess what? That's today, all right? So I'm up to date. I'm actually bringing you some relevant information. Sometimes I feel like I'm way too far behind, but that's okay. Here we go. Friday, May the 8th, 2020. Headline: most American Christians don't know their purpose in life is to love and to serve God. Most American Christians don't know their purpose in life is to love and serve God. Now, I'm a little perplexed by this. When I saw that headline, I'm like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. This is what I think of this. If you were to ask me if they were going to do this survey and do this study and they wanted predictions, my predictions would be, here's what you'll discover. 99.9% of Christians will say, what is my purpose in life? To glorify God and to enjoy Him forever. What is my purpose in life? To love and serve God. That's my purpose in life. My purpose in life is found in God. 99.9% of Christians would say that. But then when you started hearing them talk about their lives, where they spend their money, where they spend their time, what they focus on, what they put their energy into, what they think about, what they talk about, you would quickly discover that even though they claim God is their purpose, they claim God is the meaning in life, that they clearly place everything else as being more significant, and clearly they're trying to find meaning and purpose in these other things. And I would have argued that their actions contradict what they profess. That they would profess God is their purpose, God is where they find meaning. But if you look at their lives, they're finding purpose and meaning in other things. And sometimes this is why they become disillusioned and depressed and not happy with life any more than a lost person is. That would have been my prediction. They claim it. They don't live it. They don't demonstrate it. They live and demonstrate that other things is where they find their purpose. Other things is where they find their meaning, because that's where their energy, focus, time, and effort is put. And so that's what I would have predicted. Clearly, I was wrong, because according to this headline, most American Christians don't know their purpose in life. They got a big question mark. What is my purpose? I don't know. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my meaning is. I don't know. And they sound like the book of Ecclesiastes. Now, my question is, how can you be a Christian and have attended church or read the Bible? How did you get past Genesis 1:1? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. If that doesn't tell you what your purpose and meaning is, then I am so perplexed by this. So we're going to look at this and try to find out what's going on. What's going on? What is this telling us? All right. So most American Christians don't know their purpose in life is to love, serve God. All right. Here we go. New data from a multi-part survey exploring how Americans view the world shows that while the majority of Americans believe life has a specific purpose, less than 1/5 says life's purpose is knowing and loving God. All right, now this is interesting. So let's just take the average American. Sounds like most Americans believe that there's some purpose in life, but they don't believe it's found in God. Now, it would be interesting if you hold to kind of a materialistic view of the world. What do you think the purpose of life is? What is it? To raise a family? To what? To get a good job, to have a good career, to be happy? Because if you think that's your purpose, at some point you're going to become very disillusioned, and you're going to sound like Solomon sitting in your bedroom late at night, laying on the floor, curled up in the fetal position, sucking your thumb, screaming out, vanity of vanities, meaningless, meaningless, meaningless. Now, that's how I would end up. Maybe other people are more than happy not to ever I think many people in 2020 don't even bother to consider the question of ultimate purpose and meaning. I think they're just content to live, which is kind of sad. But so let's read that again. The majority believe, this is a majority of Americans believe that life has a specific purpose, but less than 1/5 says life's purpose is knowing and loving God. So they believe that there's some purpose other than God. In the latest installment of the biweekly American Worldview Inventory from the Cultural Research Center at Arizona Christian University, new findings reveal that Americans overwhelmingly are unsure about what life's purpose is. So overwhelmingly, Americans are unsure of what their purpose is. They don't even know if there is a purpose. They think there is a purpose, but they seem not to know what the purpose is. Taking a drink of water. They seem confused. Now they go through the data. Let's just skip down here. According to the data, all right, they give us some information about the data, but let's just jump right into this. According to the data, 86% of Americans believe there's a universal shared purpose that human life possesses. I want you to hear that. So 86% of Americans believe there's a universal shared purpose that human life possesses. So what is this shared purpose that human life possesses? I would like to know what it is. Like, we have a shared universal purpose. It's universal, and we all share into this purpose. What is that? Who came up with it? Did someone just make that up? That's interesting. Now, this is interesting. About 2 in 3 respondents, 66%, believe they have a unique God-given calling or purpose. All right, so 86% they believe there's a universal shared purpose that human life possesses. 66% believe they have a unique God-given calling or purpose. That's kind of interesting. I wonder what they believe that God, I need some more answers here. But here's where this is where the study gets really weird for me. But only 18% believe the universal purpose is knowing, loving, and serving God. So 86% believe there's a universal shared purpose. 66% believe they have a unique God-given calling or purpose. But only 18% believe the universal purpose is knowing, loving, and serving God. So even those who believe they have a God-called purpose, they don't believe that purpose is loving, knowing, serving, glorifying God. In other words, God is not the purpose. They may believe that God has called them to a purpose, but God isn't the purpose. So hey, God's given me a purpose, but God isn't the purpose. That's bizarre. That is just weird. If the Creator isn't the purpose, then what is your purpose in life? Like, isn't it to know, love, and serve and glorify the one who created you? It's just weird. Like there's a weird brokenness here, right? So it seems like that's somewhat to include God, but that just gives you like, well, I know my purpose is from God. And so that I guess justifies your purpose in your mind, but you don't believe only 18% believe God is a part of that purpose? Yeah, only 18%. Now, this is where it gets even more weird. Even among the 71% of Americans who consider themselves to be Christians, right? So 71% who consider themselves to be Christians, they say they are Christians. Fewer than 20% adopt the biblical worldview that our purpose is to know, love, and serve God. So less than 20% of professing Christians. So the general public is about at 18%. So I don't know, Christians seem to be right there with everyone else who I guess they don't really understand their purpose, and they don't believe their purpose is God. Now, I would have bet all the money I had and your money that 99.9% would have said, my purpose is God. My purpose is to love God. My purpose is to serve God. I mean, what did Rick Warren's book not accomplish anything? Okay, 40 days of purpose. After 40 days of purpose, we still don't know what our purpose is. Or did the book add to more confusion? I don't know. I'm baffled by this. I am so confused by this. I would thought all Christians would say, God is my purpose. And then they would ask them questions that would indicate what your purpose actually is. And then in those answers would demonstrate that God is not actually our purpose, even though we say it is. But this is less than 20% of Christians in other words, the majority of Christians or professing Christians, they don't even think God is their purpose. I'm baffled what's going on in churches. I would love to, I need to get the name of the churches, the people who responded to this, who participated in this study. I want to know the name of their churches because their pastors have to go, wait, how did you not? I mean, because this could be a situation where these churches have told the people 9,000 times what their purpose is, but the people haven't. Well, have they not read, even if their churches is not teaching them, do they not own a Bible? Do they not own a Bible? I'm baffled here. This goes on. These percentages reveal that the vast majority of Americans, including those who identify as Christians, appear to be seeking meaning without God at the center of their thinking. All right, 1 second, I have to cough. All right, back. I'll take a drink of water. Having problems with my voice today. All right. So this is bizarre to me. So these percentages reveal that the vast majority of Americans, including those who identify as Christians, appear to be seeking meaning without God at the center of their thinking. So in other words, we're not God-centric anymore, even within the church. Now, that doesn't shock me. I know the church hasn't been God-centric in a very long time. Humanistic philosophy has crept into the church. We have placed ourself at the center of everything, and we believe everything is about us, everything is for us, and we've basically elevated ourselves into the place of God. We basically worship ourselves. And I've said that a million times. But whenever I say that, Christians always will argue, no, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true, because they all know the right answer. No, life is about God. We serve God. But then they demonstrate the opposite in their actions. So I would have argued that most Christians would have given the right answer. So it's just, if they're not even going to give the right answer anymore, like how far down the bottomless pit have we fallen? I mean, I don't know. The study shows that Americans differ significantly as how do they define their life's purpose. The most widely held view among 23% of the survey respondents is, are you ready? Experiencing happiness and fulfillment is the ultimate reason for living. Wow. The most widely held view is experiencing happiness and fulfillment is their ultimate reason for living. Your ultimate reason for living is to experience happiness and fulfillment. Wow, man. What a non-Christian way of thinking. And to me, I believe a very dangerous way of thinking, because so at some point, if you're not experiencing happiness and fulfillment, then do you have no reason to live? I mean, this is crazy. About 18% indicated their life's purpose was to evolve to their full potential physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. So 18% say their purpose in life is to evolve to their full potential, physical, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. That's their purpose in life, is to evolve to their full potential. That sounds like all right. Another 10% of those surveys said their purpose in life is furthering the development of humanity or living a long, healthy life. So furthering the development of humanity or living a long, healthy life. I just want to live a long, healthy life. That's my purpose. My purpose is just to live as long as I can. That's my purpose in life. 1/4 of Americans define success as living healthy, productive, and safe life. Approximately 1/5 of adults said that success was either being a good person or living a lifestyle of consistent obedience to God. Man, a consistent obedience to God. Let me meet those people. The survey also found that among churchgoers, no Christian church affiliation claimed a majority. So here's the thing. All right, so the survey also found that among church-going adults, no Christian church affiliation claimed a majority who believed that life success involves a consistent obedience to God. Okay, so you have no majority of Christians saying that. Evangelicals came closest. 47% believed that life success involved consistent obedience to God. 47% of evangelicals. Followed by those attending Pentecostal churches, 42%. Only 23% attending mainline Protestant churches, and only 16% of Catholics. Now, this is bizarre. Only 16% of Catholics believe obedience to God is the definition of success. You think Catholics would have been all over that obedience thing. Hey, I have to obey or I'm going to spend, who knows how long in purgatory, or I'm never going to get to heaven. You think the works-based denomination would have been the more works-based minded, but this is all over the place. The results reveal a significant generational and political disparity when it comes to God factoring into one's sense of purpose. The older a person is, the more likely they adopt a biblical view of life's purpose. Meanwhile, Americans who range from the age of 18 to 29 are least likely to espouse a God as part of their purpose. As a nation, this is what they say, here's in quote, we yearn for purpose and calling, ideas deeply rooted within our nation's historical Christian faith and biblical understanding of God, he added in a statement. Americans hold onto these basic biblical ideas of what makes human existence meaningful, yet at the same time, they refuse to recognize reliance on God or even his existence when talking about their happiness or purpose. That's a pretty big statement. Listen to that. Americans hold on to these basic biblical ideas of what makes human existence meaningful. Yet at the same time, they refuse to recognize reliance on God or even his existence when talking about their happiness or purpose. In other words, you can take people and they may talk about God, they may talk about some ideas that kind of fall in line with a kind of a Christian idea, but when they begin to talk about their purpose in life and their meaning in life and happiness in life, God doesn't even exist. God is just kicked out of the picture. This is crazy. Those numbers confuse me. They really do. I would have thought that the churchgoers would have been like, glorify God and enjoy him forever. Serve God. God is my creator. I was created by him and I was created for him. My purpose is to serve him. And then hopefully there would, in the follow-up question, there would say, however, I don't typically live my life as if God is the purpose and God is where I find meaning. I typically live my life like I'm trying to please me, fulfill myself, and I focus on all of these other things, and God sometimes gets pushed to the side. I know the right answer, but I don't live. You would hope that's how Christians would respond, but the Christians are just basically straight up said, no, my purpose in life is not to glorify God and enjoy him forever. My purpose in life is all these other weird, to live a long life, to be happy, to be fulfilled, to evolve to my full potential, to further along humanity. That's my purpose. That is interesting. So I wanted to at least bring this information to everyone. I will try to get this article posted on the theologycentral.net blog. I'll post the whole article on the theologycentral.net blog. That's theologycentral.net. I'll post the whole article. You should read it for yourself, but there's a lot of things we have to try to figure out here. Like, is this a failure on the church's part? Is this a failure on Christians and being able to comprehend Genesis 1:1? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Well, if he's creator, then my purpose and meaning has to be found in him. Or what has happened? Do Christians have we reached a point where the majority of Christians know, like they're completely void? It's completely missing a biblical worldview. Is it just, have we reached a point where the biblical worldview is dead? Like the biblical worldview is dead amongst Christians. How far down have we really fallen? We got to go back at church and say, look, guys, we got to start from the beginning here. Do we really need, I think we're going to have to get all church members together and we're just going to have to say, we're going to have to go back to elementary school. Okay. You were created by God. So guess where your purpose is found? In God. Your life should be focused on serving him. Your purpose should be found in him. Your happiness should be found in him. Your joy should be found in him. Your life should be dedicated to him, meditating on his word day and night. Him, thinking, obeying, serving, following, confessing. God should be literally your life should be God-centric. But I think we've booted God off the throne. We've placed ourselves on the throne and it's man-centered. I think the church has become so man-centered that the people have really taken on the idea that I'm the purpose. I think this is what has happened. I think the church used to be, what is the chief end of man? To glorify God and enjoy him forever. And I think now, what is the chief end of man? To glorify myself and enjoy myself forever. I think we literally have replaced that. What is the chief end of man? To glorify himself and to enjoy himself forever. Those are staggering numbers. Like, I don't get that. Now, I know it's a survey and we'd have to see the questions and have to see, what was the size. And I know that doesn't, prove everything. And I understand that there's obviously millions of Christians who would get the right answer. I understand that. But I've always been trying to argue for the Christians who get the right answer. They need to live out the right answer. Now I may have to go back and go, we got to get Christians to even get to the right answer. I probably should have been happy that Christians got the right answer. I probably messed up. I should have been saying, hey, you got the right answer. Congratulations. Okay. Or maybe this is more honesty. Maybe Christians are just becoming more honest and just saying, look, come on. I'm not going to pretend that God is my purpose and that my purpose in life is to love him, serve him, because I spend most of my life focused on me and what I want and what I think. Maybe Christians are just becoming more honest. I don't know. It is bizarre. Bizarre. But let me just make it clear. If you want to find your purpose in God, if you want to find your purpose in life, if you read Ecclesiastes, you know where it ends up? Okay, he starts off meaningless, 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 and guess where he ends up? If I want meaning and purpose, glorify God and obey him. Follow God, obey God. God, he comes to the conclusion, God is the purpose. Hey, this is an interesting development. I don't really know what to. I'm still trying to process it. And it is interesting that older people seem to have a better grasp of it than younger. But is it because the theological education of the younger generation was so bad? Like I don't know what's going on. I think if you listen to a lot of sermons you just pick the town you live in and just go from church to church to church and listen to sermons. How much of the sermons are so man-centered? And this is very relevant because in the Bible Institute, the VBC Bible Institute, we've been working on Genesis chapter 1, and I've tried to make the point. And that study, you should go listen to my 2 parts that I've done on Genesis 1, is that Genesis 1 is the whole purpose of Genesis 1 is to tell you God is the central character of the whole Bible. The whole thing is about God. Life is about God. Creation is about God. It's all about God. It's not about us. And that we have to become God-centric in our way of thinking. Who knew that when I was doing those lectures that a study was about to come out showing you that clearly we all need to get back to that mindset because less than 20% of Christians know that their purpose in life is to love God, serve God, and obey God. Love, serve, and obey God. No. Glorify God and enjoy him forever. Nope. It's crazy. It's a sad state of affairs. It is. It really is. The church, I don't know. When I see surveys like that, it makes you just it makes you just want to just scream and just give up. It does. It makes you want to, you know what? What's the purpose? Yeah. What's the point? You know, meaningless. It makes you feel like all your efforts are just meaningless. Just quit. Just give up. Go join a monastery somewhere. Just live in a monastery till you're dead. And just stop trying. Just stop trying. But you can't stop trying. We got to continue to. I think we got 2 problems. We got Christians who can give you the right answer, but their lives don't demonstrate that there's any truth to the right answer. And then we've got the Christians who won't even give you the right answer anymore, either because they don't know the right answer or they just don't care, and they don't care that God is not the purpose of their life. All right. Email me your thoughts. newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. Everyone have a great Friday. God bless.